If you're looking for a gaming PC from Amazon because it's actually the #1 marketplace in the world, you came to the right place. I will show you 7 different gaming desktops and a bonus for different budgets in case you wanna buy from this website. You will have all the links down below in the description in case you're interested in buying one of these, so make sure to stay if you wanna see all of the important information. Without further ado, let's start. With the first one and the cheapest one on the list for $610, we have the HP Pavilion gaming desktop that has GTX 1650 Super and the i3 10100, 8GB of RAM and 256GB of SSD. Now there are a couple of things to say before buying this PC, and that is if you want a 1440p performance or even if you want to do 4K gaming, I do recommend you going with something like the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. Both links for those will be down below in the description as well. But if you're looking for a budget gaming PC because you wanna get into PCs, I think that this one for the price is actually really good and will give you a solid 1080p performance. However, I recommend you upgrading the RAM and storage down the line. These are upgrades that are going to be really easy to make, so don't worry about it, but having 16GB of RAM will give you more performance in some games, but not only on the FPS average, but also on the 1% lows and multitasking overall. Now this is an OEM system, meaning that it's not really upgradable. Of course, you can upgrade the RAM and the storage, but if you want to upgrade things like the CPU, motherboard or power supply, you won't be able to do these things. On that case, you will have to upgrade all of the 3 components, the power supply, the motherboard and the case, if you just want to upgrade one of them. But if you want something that's fully upgradable, stay in this video because I will show you a gaming PC that provides both good performance and it's also upgradable. With the next one we have another Pavilion, but this one it's a much better option because you get the i5 10400F, which is superior to the i3 10100, and you also get the RTX 3060, which is a much better graphics card than the 1650 Super, especially if you want to do ray tracing, have the DLSS technology, and overall you will achieve more FPS here. And for 1080p you will be able to run every single game at least 60 FPS on average, even at ultra settings. But the one thing here is that it comes with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of SSD once again, so you may want to upgrade that down the line if you cannot do it right now. But if you want to have the highest FPS performance at 1080p for $850, actually this is a really good deal, and it used to be $1,100. Right now it's on a 23% discount, so if you wanna get it right now, it's a good moment. And also with the 3060 you can do some 1440p gaming depending on the games that you're going to play, and it's also a really good video editing GPU, but the 10400F is not the greatest CPU for video editing, so for that reason, if you're into video editing and content creation, you wanna stay, because I will show you some gaming PCs that are really good at that. With the next one we have the iVibe Power Pro for $950. It's on a discount as well. It used to be $1,300 and I haven't seen this deal in a long time, so you may want to take advantage of it. You get a Ryzen 5 5600G with integrated graphics, but this is not the graphics card that you will use for gaming. You will use the RTX 3060, and you also get 16GB of RAM and 500GB of SSD for $950, so you're paying $100 extra from the HP Pavilion, but here you're getting 16GB of RAM, 500GB of SSD, and the most important part is fully upgradable. So like I said before, if you wanna upgrade things over time, like the CPU, GPU, or just upgrading everything, this is a much better option than the one that I mentioned before, and $100 of difference I think is not that much considering that you upgrade the RAM, storage, and also the CPU. Now, if you want to make a big jump for both gaming and content creation, I recommend you the ABG PC that has the Ryzen 5 5600X, a 3060 Ti, 16GB of RAM, and 1TB of M.2 SSD. This one also has that Cooler Master TD500 with a front mesh panel, so the airflow overall for this PC is much better. And on top of that, you get a 240 all-in-one liquid cooler, which is not necessary for the Ryzen 5 5600X, but keep in mind that CPU temps and the overall temperatures for this PC are going to be great, and you get the RTX 3060 Ti version, which is much better, especially at 1440p than the 3060. You can do some 4K gaming, but it has limitations, so keep that in mind. If you want to do strictly 4K gaming, I do not recommend you going for this one, but if you're going to do 1440p or 1080p gaming, I recommend you going for 1440p. For $1,400, this PC is really good, and you won't regret buying this PC. With the next one on the list, we have this Skytech Chronos with the i5 12600K, which is my favorite CPU, and I will explain why in a second. Then you get the RTX 3070, 1TB of SSD, and 32GB of RAM of DDR5 with a 650W 80+ cold power supply. Now, the i5 12600K, in my opinion, is the best in terms of price to performance, especially for content creation. You get 10 cores, with 4 efficiency cores and 6 performance cores and 16 threads with an iGPU included, so for video editing, content creation is going to be excellent. But on top of this, you're pairing this CPU with the RTX 3070, so I wouldn't recommend this PC for 1080p, I would recommend it for 1440p or even 4K, but once again the 3070 is not going to be the best option for 4K. But if you're searching for that sweet spot for 1080p where you get great performance in every single game, and then you also get a great performance for multitasking and content creation, you also get 32 gigs of RAM, which is amazing for video editing, and it's also DDR5, which right now doesn't make any major difference, but maybe down the line when DDR5 is more important, you will be able to take advantage of this feature. And you also get a front mesh panel, so the airflow for this PC is great. Overall, I think it's a great PC. The price, it's a bit expensive, $1,600, but if you have the budget to buy this PC, I wouldn't doubt it for a second. With the next one, you're paying an extra $100, $1,700, and you get another ABG PC, once again with the same case, but this time you get the Ryzen 7 5800X, which is a great CPU for basically everything, and then you get the RX 6800 XT, which is much better than the RTX 3070 for gaming, and this is more of a 4K GPU, so if you want to go for 1440p, you can go with this PC as well. Of course, you will achieve more FPS than the last one, but if you want to go for 4K, you can do it without any issues as well. And with this PC, you can activate the Smart Access RAM technology from AMD because you're on a fully AMD platform, so you're going to get an FPS boost in some games. Here you get 16 gigs of RAM and 1TB of M.2 SSD, which is great, and you get a 360 all-in-one liquid cooler that once again I don't feel like it's necessary for the Ryzen 7 5800X, but it's a nice feature to have if you upgrade the CPU to something that's more powerful. Now, if you're really into content creation and that's the only thing that you want to do, gaming is not your priority, then I would recommend you going with the last one. You save $100, you get a better CPU actually for content creation, and you get 32 gigs of RAM, which is important, and you also get an NVIDIA graphics card that has a better encoder for content creation. But if your main focus is gaming, the ABG PC it's a better option for just $100 of difference, which is not a lot considering this price point. And with the best one on the list, this is a beast at $4,000. You get the Skytech Prism 2. This one has the i9 12900K, the RTX 3090 Ti, 1TB of Gen 4 SSD, 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, a 360 all-in-one liquid cooler that is going to be necessary for the i9 12900K, and you get a 1000 watt 80 plus color power supply, which I couldn't recommend more for future upgradability, considering that the new GPUs coming are really power hungry. Now with this PC you won't need to upgrade anything for the next few years, and this is the ultimate gaming desktop. You get the best CPU on the market right now, basically the best GPU on the market with the 3090 Ti. It's a totally overkill basically for everything for the average gamer, and you also get 32 gigs of RAM of DDR5 that once again you might take advantage down the line. There's not much to say here. You can do anything with this PC at 4K, so if you want the best of the best for $4,000, let's say you have the budget to do this, I think it's a really good PC. But let's say you have $3,000, which is $1,000 less, you can go with another Skytech Prism 2 from Amazon that has a Ryzen 9 5900X, which is still a great CPU for 4K gaming and content creation, and you get a 3090, which to be honest you don't really need the 3090 Ti. Here you save $1,000 and you get a great performance once again for both content creation and gaming. And the other components on this PC are the same except for the RAM. You get 16 gigs of RAM, but I would rather upgrade the RAM here and spend like, I don't know, $950 less than the other PC. For $4,000 you can get the same PC on the Skytech website as well. You will have all of the links and also the Skytech link down below in the description like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And if you found this video helpful, leave a like and subscribe, but most importantly hit that bell button to get notified when I upload this type of content, which I do from 3 to 5 times a week. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.